Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Ryan, the official host of Reddit Voice, and today we're going to be looking at some of the top stories from r/ProRevenge. Before we do, though, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest videos. Take the money I give you for bills and squander it. I hope you like the court system. The background. I lived with a group of people who I thought were my friends. They were two couples, and we all lived in the same house for almost 2 years until I recently moved out. There was David and Tina and Brittany and AJ. I was the only single person there. There was a debate on how we should pay the bills, but we all decided to give the money to the person whose name was on the bill. David paid the mortgage, Tina paid the water and electric/gas, and I paid the internet. It came to the point where I was paying close to 80% of the mortgage by myself, the entire water bill, about 75% of the gas and electric, and I was paying for the internet bill by myself. I was giving the money still to the person in charge of the bill, but came to find out about 10 days before I moved out that the mortgage was defaulted on and the house was in foreclosure. Also, the water, gas, and electric bills were in constant threat of being shut off, and that the only up-to-date bill was the internet. While they all saw me struggle to pay these off, they were mindlessly spending money during the day, which is when I sleep due to working a third shift. So I never saw the mindless things they spent money on, nor did I ever see the mail since they grabbed it before I woke up. Brittany never paid anything as she was having her check garnished due to unpaid student loans, but she always had expensive makeup. AJ never held a job for more than 2 weeks. And David and Tina were always calling in to work, knowing that I wouldn't allow them to go without a home due to our history. One day, I woke up while they were all out and about doing something or the other. So I went to go check on the mail as I was expecting a package. When I saw the bills in the mail, I decided to investigate. I opened up the gas and electric bill, as they're by the same company, to see a total amount of almost $400 and in risk of being shut off. I was shocked and pissed. I knew right then and there what was going on, and I vowed to screw them over as hard as I could. The revenge. I had just interviewed for a new job that paid almost double what I was making, and I knew that I interviewed well with them, so I told myself that if I got the job, I would give them a 30 days notice and move out. And as it was close to the end of the month, and I had already paid them, I'd be moving out before the 1st of February. I got the call with the job offer the next day, which I happily accepted, and I did the paperwork for the background check, and it all came back clean. The same day I accepted the offer, I typed out a 30-day notice and recorded myself with my phone in my breast pocket, handing it to them, explaining that I was moving out. I started my job and my hunt for an apartment close to my new job, which I found out within a week of starting. I took almost the entirety of my checks, set them aside for rent, deposit, and basic things that I would need. I was asked several times to help with next month's bills, to which I said no, as I was saving for my own place and they had plenty of time to come up with the money between the 4 of them, because I was doing it all by myself, pretty much on a meager pay rate of $11 an hour before my new job. There were a lot of scowls, passive-aggressive behavior, and flat-out attempts to take or use my things or food without permission. The day came when I finally went and got my U-Haul and had a few friends help me move. Free beer and free lunch are the best payment ever, as they all shared it with me. I was determined to get all in one go, so I got the biggest one they had, and we got everything and packed up. I took everything that was mine, down to my pizza stone, which they loved, my expensive kitchen knives, which they would use and never clean, and even my toilet paper that I had bought 3 days prior because I needed it. A few rolls went missing very quick. After moving everything, I sat down on my couch, looked around, my cat in my lap, and breathed a sigh of relief. I happened to be good friends with my previous neighbors. We smoked each other out frequently, and asked them to keep an eye out for anything out of the ordinary. 4 days go by, and I come to find out that the gas, electric, and water have all been turned off, and they were asking to fill up some buckets to manually flash the toilets, and bathe, and etc. Now, both couples have dogs, which my cat hated, as they were hyperactive as hell, but I loved them. So I decided that those dogs were in a dangerous situation, as they had no water, no heat, and it was in the middle of winter. And probably no food, as I had bought the last bag about 2 weeks prior. I hate to see an animal hungry, so I called the local humane society and left an anonymous tip about the dogs and how I was worried about them. The next day, my neighbor Todd texted me telling me that the dogs were removed from the home, that my previous housemates were being charged with neglect, and because of the lack of utilities, that the house were not civil but criminal charges. This was enough for me to smile, but I wanted more. I knew that David was divorced and had a child. I also knew that he wasn't paying child support. I then contacted the local courts and made them aware of the flagrant non-support and that maybe they could help the agency looking for him. I provided the address that we lived at, and the homeowner was the one who was being looked for. From there, it came to light that he was almost 25 grand behind, which is a felony in the state where I live. He's now living with someone on their couch as Tina left him. The house has been foreclosed on, and he has nothing to his name while facing multiple criminal charges. Moral of the story: don't take advantage of a friend who knows all your dirty secrets. Spaghetti girl. Sell a broken laptop to my kid? Lie to me? Threaten me? As you wish. Hi Reddit. This happened a few years ago on Facebook Marketplace to my dad, and I'm the kid. My dad told me the story about 1 week ago, when I asked why my birthday present a few years ago disappeared in mysterious ways. Oh boy, I was not prepared for that. Please note, English isn't my primary language, but I'll try to clarify things. Just ask. Lots of backstory. When I was around 13 at the time, now 19, I was hooked on Minecraft, and me and my dad spent quite some time on the 360 version. I got good grades in school, so we decided it was time for us to switch to PC. He already had a pretty good PC for his work as a programmer and IT administrator, in which he wanted to get me a cheap laptop. We had a hard time and almost no money, so it had to be cheap and used. He saw an offer on Facebook Marketplace from a girl, and he and my mother met at a club he was DJing at a few years back. Let's call her Spaghetti Girl. She was selling lots of stuff because she moved in with her boyfriend and her kids. Among that stuff was a cheap laptop. Nothing fancy, pretty scuffed, and the only network port didn't work, according to her. No big deal, and for £50, 54 US dollars, it was worth a shot. My dad contacted Spaghetti Girl and wanted to pick up the laptop just in time for my birthday. He had to wait for his paycheck. Rough times. When the day came, he went to the agreed spot, but she didn't show up. She called later that day and told my dad she had to wait for her boyfriend to wipe the hard drive, as she didn't trust my dad. My dad assumed that he had no intentions to snoop around in her stuff, and he could help her with that. After all, he's an IT guy. No, my boyfriend works for the CIA, and he's a hacker. Yeah, right, a CIA hacker in Germany, by the name of Hans Huber. Name changed, but a very German name. Okay, fine. She insisted that the laptop still works, and just the network port is busted. After 1 week, my dad picked up the laptop and paid $50 and headed home. He couldn't test it on site because the battery was dead. Back at home, the laptop was, of course, dead. He opened it up and found a mixture of nicotine, coffee, and undefined fluids. Close your eyes and imagine that sound of a Velcro strap being pulled open. That was the sound of the keyboard when he tried to lift it up. I still remember that sound because I stood next to him and wanted to get my laptop going ASAP. I cried the whole night. Of course, my dad contacted the pasta lady right away. She insisted that he must have broken it as he had worked on it yesterday, and she also wanted £10 for the bag she gave him with it. My dad was calm on the outside, but he locked up his office door for 4 hours and instructed us not to go in there for the next few days. Finally, after a wall of text, the autopsy. Remember that my dad was an IT administrator at the time? Turns out he was pretty good at his job, and he was a guest lecturer at some universities. He talks about data recovery on conferences, etc. My dad plugged in the still good hard drive into his work PC and had a look. Of course, Hans Hackerman had only formatted the drive. He recovered some files and looked for any logs that would indicate the laptop had worked yesterday. The last files were from half a year ago, and it wasn't shut down as a dirty bit for Windows was also set. Everything indicated that the laptop was dead for at least half a year. Great work, Hans. On the second evening, when my dad was looking for evidence, he stumbled across some pictures. One of an elderly man with a guitar, a few from the nightclub back in the days, I remember how I heard my dad laugh inside his office, but I wasn't allowed in and the door was locked. That upset me back then, but now I understand. The spaghetti incident. He had taken some pictures of her with some spaghetti meticulously rolled up into a circle on her breasts. Lots of spaghetti, with a blob of sauce in the middle to cover up the nipples. Her boyfriend was sitting next to her with some chopsticks. I mean, who in the world eats spaghetti with chopsticks? And who pays a photographer to take pictures of that? My dad tried to ask her for the money back and even offered to help her get her files back. That didn't mention the spaghetti pictures. She went on to attack my dad publicly on Facebook. Stuff like, "This guy," dad's name, "who tries to blackmail me. What should I do?" And "No, I don't want to hear your pictures," dad's name. And to top it all off, "When my boyfriend learns about this, he'll hack you." A few private messages followed up. "Shut up about the stupid laptop and give me 10 for the bag, or else I'll tell everyone you wanted to do bad things to me." My dad had enough of that. He suspended his Facebook account and went silent. He almost lost his job and family over this, but was smart enough to save all the chat logs with her, so he could prove to my mother and his boss that he wasn't blackmailing anybody, and he wasn't sending nude pictures to anybody. Yet. The revenge. After a few months, my dad had a new Facebook account and everything was back to normal. He landed a new job, didn't add his boss on Facebook this time, and didn't use his real name. He even joined using the old nightclub alumni group on Facebook to connect with a few friends from back in the days. One beautiful day, he finds a new post in the group by Spaghetti Girl asking everyone for pictures of the good old days, as a thief stole her laptop and tried to blackmail her with deleting the pictures. My dad kindly responded. He had this evil grin on his face while he told me a few days ago. "Oh hey Spaghetti Girl, long time no see. I have quite a lot of pictures from that time. Found them on an old hard drive. Even some of you and her boyfriend with a nice pasta dinner. And a few screenshots of old chat logs. Do you want me to send them to you via PM or should I just share them here?" "Nah, just share them here. As you wish." Hey, there's good also news for her. She also got the pictures of her recently deceased father back. The nice gentleman with the guitar in 160 by 160 pixels. The fallout. Facebook blew up that day and the weeks after, at least in our little slice of the world. A few things happened. She was dropped by her friends, they all cut ties with her. Turned out she pulled a similar thing with a bouncer of the nightclub, got him fired and expelled from their group of friends, and he was the creator of said Facebook group. Noodle Bitch and Chopstick Dick were quickly both tagged in all of the pictures by their former friends. Even her cat was tagged on one of the pictures. Her boyfriend, Hans, of 12 years, recognized one of the tattoos that he paid for, so the picture had to be taken recently. He recognized the bed she was on, but he wasn't the chopstick-wielding dude in the picture. He was now Hans Solo. My dad never really looked that much at the pictures, so he didn't see that Spaghetti Queen had laid out quite a bunch of drugs, weed, pills, and a Ziploc bag in the background of her pictures. This minor detail was discovered by the Chopstick Master's current girlfriend, who of course told the police, CPS, Judgment in Germany, and both of their parents. Or Jugendamt in Germany, my apologies. Police couldn't do much. Their kids were taken away for a while. I don't know what happened afterwards. And a few colleagues of hers saw that post. She quit her dream job of being a cashier at Aldi's soon after that. She had to move out of Hans's flat, and she moved across the country. If her new Facebook account is to be believed, she used the name of her cat. I know I'm being spiteful prick over this, but I think she got what she deserved, and $50. Today, we had sold the hard drive and RAM from the laptop for $30 each afterwards. With the money, my dad bought a used HP desktop for me. Minecraft at 30 FPS, coming from the Xbox 360, this felt right at home. For my 17th birthday, I got a, back then, brand new computer, Ryzen 1600X GTX 1060, 16 gigs of RAM and a brand new SSD with no spaghetti pictures on it. My dad and I still play Minecraft together, and he's now a software developer at a bigger company, and we have no concerns about money. Not rich, but not paycheck to paycheck. Not all heroes wear capes, but my dad does, as he went to Minecon. I know it's pretty long, hope it was worth your time. Greetings from Germany, Chris. And that about does it for today's episode of r/ProRevenge. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like on the video, and make sure to check out some of our other stuff as well. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you guys in the next video.